Once upon a time, in a small, quaint town named Bayville, lived a unique dog called Rex. Now, Rex was not your ordinary dog. He had a secret, a big one. He could speak English. Yes, you heard it right, Rex could talk. Every morning, he'd stroll around the town square. He'd silently listen to the townsfolk, absorbing their language. He'd hear, "Good day, ma'am," or "How are you, sir?" He would memorize these phrases and practice them at home. One day, he decided it was time to reveal his secret to his beloved owner, Mrs. Rose. Mrs. Rose was a sweet, kind old lady. She adored Rex with all her heart. Rex thought, if anyone would understand, it would be her. So, one morning, as Mrs. Rose was sipping her tea, Rex looked at her with his deep brown eyes. He said, in the most clear voice, "Good day, Mrs. Rose." Bewildered, Mrs. Rose spilled her tea all over her morning paper. Did Rex just speak? She blinked, rubbed her eyes, and looked at Rex. He said again, "Good day, Mrs. Rose." Thinking she was dreaming, Mrs. Rose shook her head. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. Rex, being a dog, can't talk, she reasoned. She decided to visit the town doctor, Mr. Walter. Mr. Walter was a gentle, understanding man. She trusted he would know what was happening. The next day, she sat in his clinic. She nervously explained, "My dog spoke to me, Walter." The doctor, taken aback, looked at her quizzically. "Perhaps it was just a dream, Rose," he said. But Mrs. Rose insisted it was real. Thinking she was losing her mind, Mrs. Rose started taking medicine prescribed by Mr. Walter. But Rex missed his conversations with her. He missed the look of amazement on Mrs. Rose's face. One day, Rex followed Mrs. Rose to the clinic. As she talked with Mr. Walter about her hallucinations, Rex strolled into the room. He looked at the surprised faces of Mrs. Rose and Mr. Walter, and said, "Good day, Mr. Walter." The doctor's eyes widened. He dropped his clipboard in surprise. Good day, Rex," he stuttered, speechless. Mrs. Rose looked at him, and then at Rex. She started laughing, a beautiful, relieved laugh. It wasn't her imagination, Rex really could talk. The news spread, and Bayville was never the same. People came from far and wide to meet Rex, the talking dog. Despite the fame, Rex remained a humble, happy dog, living with Mrs. Rose, his best friend. And they all learned that the world is full of wonders, if only we're open to see them. In the end, Mrs. Rose's acceptance of Rex's ability changed Bayville forever. Their story reminded everyone of the power of open-mindedness, and the wonder it can bring into our lives.